Welcome back to Uncommon Analysis. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends and neighbors. We'd appreciate it. And we're glad you're here. And if you're already subscribing, welcome back. We're glad you're here too. I really wasn't planning on making this video today, but as usual, the weekend talk shows provided moments that were just crazy, and this is one I just could not let slide. I just had to make a commentary on this one because it's so over the top. To put it in context, on Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan was interviewing Mark Rubio. In this particular segment, they're talking about a speech that J.D. Vance gave at a security summit in Munich, Germany last week. And the full speech is about 20 minutes long. I would definitely suggest, if you have 20 minutes of time, you may want to go find the speech and watch it in its entirety. I think it's worth watching. In the speech, J.D. Vance pretty much called out some European nations for their infringement of fundamental civil liberties and the threats of security that those have. In particular, he mentioned things like in certain countries, in Britain right now, you could literally be thrown in jail or punished for simply quietly praying to yourself, even within your own home. People are being locked up for posting political memes. Hunted down. In fact, 60 Minutes did a spot on that last night. I'm sure it tied into this whole interview somehow. That's how these people operate. But so, needless to say, some people in continental Europe are got their, and the the political left in general, got their panties in a bunch over the speech, which I think was a phenomenal speech. I think it's a speech that was long overdue. Should have been delivered probably 20 years ago. But this is Rubio being asked questions about this speech. So let's hear what Margaret has to say, and then we'll talk about our reaction to it because it's so ridiculous.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship...
Okay. Did you hear the first thing out of her mouth? There's a couple things about what she said that's ridiculous, but the first one is over the top. The weaponization of free speech caused the Holocaust. That's literally what she's implying. Nazis came to power because they weaponized free speech and then engaged in the Holocaust. It's absurd. It's absurd on its face. Gestalt was caused by free speech. The systemic execution and murder of Jews, Catholics, homosexuals, and political dissidents was due to free speech? There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. Does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe that? Anyone? Nazi Germany, by the way, which was the National Socialist Party's leftists. Every time you call a right wing a Nazi, I think you need to look in the mirror because you're showing a lack of understanding of history, which is pretty necessary, honestly, to believe in left-wing ideology anymore. You have to be ignorant of history, largely. Freedom of speech brought about the Holocaust. The weaponization of free speech. Because I have to do this. I have to do this.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
CBS, Margaret Brennan, the left-wing mainstream media, you guys are insane. Just insane. Free speech was responsible for the Holocaust. Oh, I'm sorry, the weaponization. So the implication is because people were free to speak their minds, a certain political ideology was able to leverage that to come to power. No, hatred drove what happened in Nazi Germany, as it does most evil on this earth. free speech must be abridged and contained because we might have another Holocaust. People being free to express their political opinions, got to contain that. You want to speak out against immigrants? Not allowed, because that might offend the immigrants. You post a meme online that's against the political popular view or the view that's approved by the government, you're going to jail. That's not freedom of speech. That's what's going on in Europe today, and that's exactly, in some places in Europe today, and that's exactly what Vance called them on and should have called them on. This speech should have been given 20 years ago. 10, 15, 20 years ago. This speech should have been given a long, long time ago. Now, I know the European nations are not the same as America. They don't have the Bill of Rights. They don't have the same legal viewpoints, right? In England, there is no castle doctrine. Some guy breaks into your home, even if they attack you and you kill them with a knife, you could end up in jail because they don't have a castle doctrine. You're supposed to retreat. And if you don't retreat enough to the law's liking, you're the reason it came to a conflict that you had to kill the man in the first place. So you now are on charge with murder. No lie, folks. I understand Europe is not the United States, believe me. But there are certain fundamental philosophies that are key to Western civilization. And Europe has surrendered them. And some nations in Europe and some leaders in Europe are embracing totalitarian ideologies, claiming they're defending Western civilization. And this is absurd. And Margaret Brennan, to suggest that shows how warped and how ignorant of history this woman is. Or it may not be her. She might have been fed this line. Let's be realistic. She has editors above her. She has people above her. This may be nothing more than her being told to say this line by people above her. Make sure you stick that in there too. So I don't know if it's her or not. If it's her, then by all means, you have shown yourself to be incredibly dumb. And if it was one of your editors or one of your bosses telling you to do it, you're just showing the complete bias of the media toward insanity, and frankly. So that's all I got for today. Agree, disagree, leave a comment. But I couldn't let this one go float by. This is one I just kind of let slide. It was so over the top, I could not let it just go by without comment. So I hope everybody else here has a great day. And with that, I am out.